All right, APCSA students, now that you've had some practice doing a little decomposition of your own, now I'm going to show you how to print out our stacked boxes from earlier using Replit. And in this case, we're going to use static methods. So this being the first time that you've written any static methods, we're going to go a little slow and I'm going to show you step by step how to do this in Replit. So if you go on to Replit, you can open up a new Replit and you will see that it opens into this essentially default of having the main method header already done for you, and then within that main header it usually tells you, hello world. So we're going to ignore the main for right now, and we are going to add some sub methods to this class. So find the last bracket for the main, and we're going to add a couple of spaces to separate out our next method that we want to code. Now, how you break it down is up to you, but in general, when you decompose a problem, you should solve the lowest level problems before you work up to higher level problems. So in this case, we should be solving these two problems: draw a horizontal line and draw two vertical lines. So on Replit, this means that we need to make a new header. And for now, we're going to use static methods. And in this case, we're just printing stuff out, so we don't need a return value. So our method is also going to be returning void. So if we just start out, and then we have to give it a name. So in this place, I'm going to call it horizontal line, because that's a good informative name for it. And notice I started it with a lowercase letter because this is a method, not a class. And I used camel case, so when I started that new word line, I made it capital letters. And then we're not going to input any parameters, but we need to have those brackets. And then because this is a method, we are going to put a curly bracket there so that we can put our code together. Then drop down to the next line, and this is where we would put our print statement for the method horizontal line. So basically what we just did is we just made the header for a function. So last year in CSP, you would write function, give it a name, and then you drag and drop the stuff you needed in between the curly brackets. Well, now you've got to make the header yourself, and we're starting with static methods. So our methods are public static void, give it a name, right? So in order to print our horizontal line, that looks like this, we're going to have to print a plus and then 7 slashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then another plus, and that has to be obviously in in our string quotation marks, and because I didn't put those in first, it's giving me an extra one here, which is kind of a pain. Okay, so that's what we're going to be printing. So recall from our previous lessons how we make a print statement. So in order to print, we use the system class, and we're using the output part of the system class, and we're going to call the method print. And because we want it to go to a new line after it prints, then we're going to go print ln. And then all of this that we want to print is going to go in those parentheses. So that will print that first horizontal line. Well, our second thing we want to do is draw 2 vertical lines, but we want to call that separately from the horizontal lines. So we're going to make that its own method. So again, we're going to put a couple spaces between us and the previous method. We're going to use that same header again, public static void, only this time we're going to have vertical line. And again, a place for parameters, though we're not using any yet. And our curly brackets, space down, and this is where we will put our print statement in. System.out.println, put our parentheses, put our string, and this time it's a vertical line, which is above the backslash, and then 7 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the closing vertical line. And we want to do that twice. So as with any IDE, we can copy and then paste that in so that we're not typing out the code again. All right, so we have both of our methods, vertical lines and horizontal line. Then we need to look at our next level of abstraction, and notice we have one more pretty low level thing, and that's insert blank line. So we probably want to do that one next because it's simple. And so we're going to make our header. All right. And in this case, to print a blank line, it's an empty string. So within our string, we're just going to leave it blank. And that'll just give us an empty line. And there we have our 3 lowest levels of abstraction: drawing the horizontal line, drawing the 2 vertical lines, and then inserting a blank line. So the next thing that we need to do is tell it how to draw a box. Now, my personal preference is once I get the lowest level of abstraction done, then I put that at the bottom and I start my next thing up higher. That way I don't have to keep scrolling all the way through my code. I can just kind of go to the top for the next method that I was working on. So in this case, we're going to do public static void. And now we're going to draw the box. So we're going to call it, draw box, no parameters. And, I got square brackets there somehow. So I don't want to use any print statements here. I'm going to draw the box entirely from calling the other methods that I have. So to draw the box, I need to move my computer. There we go. To draw the box, we need the horizontal line, the vertical lines once, and then the horizontal line again. So I'm going to call horizontal line. And to call it, I just type the name of the function. And then I need vertical line. And then I need horizontal lines again. And that should draw my box. All right. So Now that we have all of the levels of abstraction that we need, now we need to go to the final level here, stacked boxes. So to do that, we're now going to use the main because we have all of our different functions that we need here. And now we can call those functions in the main. So we're going to delete out the system.out.print hello world because we don't need that. And instead, we're going to make calls to the functions in order to draw the stack of boxes. So we're going to draw one box. And then we're going to do a blank line. We're going to draw another box. Oops. And then we're going to do a blank line. And then we're going to draw the final box. Now, depending on how you interpret the picture, you could start with a blank line and end with a blank line as well. I just started with the draw box. But if we run this, we should, oh, whoops, I have an error on line 16. I forgot my semicolon. You guys probably saw that and were like screaming at your screen. Miss Thompson, you forgot your semicolon. But that just shows that I'm just like all the real programmers. I forget stuff too. And we should be compiling now. There we go. We have our 3 boxes. So once again, I'll review. We started with the lowest level of abstraction, drawing individual lines. Then we put some of those together to draw a single box. And then we stacked the boxes by making calls in the main method to draw each of those different pieces. Now, I could have made a separate function and called it stacked boxes and put these calls to draw box and blank line in that as well. And then I could have put in the main a single call to stacked boxes. That's another method of doing it, but I didn't feel like, why use 3 more lines of code when that's my highest level of abstraction. So that's the level I should be doing in the main. So there you go. Your next task is actually going to be to construct your own program to do the exercise 13 that you just finished decomposing. So you're going to turn that into a simple program like we just did using static methods.